Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the Well Off Podcast, and I'm your host, George Masri. Today, I interviewed Rene Masse. I called him Masse at first, but he told me he likes Masse better. So, anyways, Rene has been investing in real estate since 2009. He focused on growing his cash flow and was successful in doing so. He actually started off as a contractor. He's been a contractor or in the business for about 30 years, but we talked a lot about investing in the Kingston market. We discussed how he finds deals today, what tips he has for people that are looking to get a joint venture partner, kind of get started doing that, and then also his competitive advantage as a real estate investor. Lots of good stuff in here. I know you guys are going to enjoy it, especially if you're interested in exploring the Kingston market or just talking to someone who's been investing for a long time. His dad was also a real estate investor, so he's got a lot of neat tips and tricks for you guys. So there you go. I hope you'll enjoy the episode. And if you do, I always ask you to leave us a 5-star review on the Apple Podcast platform, and make sure to share this with a friend or a family member who might benefit. I appreciate all of your support. I always appreciate hearing your comments as well. So if you want to reach out to me, you can go to welloff.ca and contact me there or book a call, and I'd love to connect. Enjoy the episode. Welcome to the Well Off Podcast, where the goal is to motivate, inspire, and share success principles. I'm here with Rene Masse. I guess that's how you would say it if you wanted to say it properly. I don't know if you have a different English pronunciation, but we'll just go with that.
That works. I've been called worse.
All right, perfect. Rene is obviously a real estate investor, been doing it a long time. I like to start off by asking you a little bit about your childhood, where you grew up, and maybe one or two things you remember.
You're going deep. I like that, George.
Yeah.
I was born and raised in Toronto, basically Woodbine, Danforth area, from a French family speaking household. I learned French there, and then learned all my tricks of the trades in Toronto.
Cool. Where's your family
really
from?
shaped it. My family, my mother's from Rimouski, my father's from Saint-Hyacinthe, but there was an exodus of Quebecers who left Quebec back in the 60s and early 50s. In fact, my grandmother was born in the States. It was very common.
Yeah. Cool. That's interesting. I wasn't really aware of that. I don't know if you know this, but I actually went to a French school growing up. So I speak French. I went to, when I was young in Mississauga, I went to René Lamoureux. Okay. And then later on went to Sainte Famille in Mississauga as well. So
that's neat. Yeah. It's quite well hidden, these French schools in Toronto. I speak French thanks to these French schools that were pure French. Yeah. But you went into the recess, we all spoke English. So you couldn't really tell.
Yeah.
It was pretty neat. Yeah, definitely.
Cool. So let's talk a little bit about your journey as a real estate investor. I think you started in 2009. Tell us how you got into it, why you started investing.
I got into it because I quit my teaching job after 3 months. I was like, I don't want to do this.
Yeah.
I didn't like it. And I jumped in and I became a contractor, which wasn't the most glorious endeavor, especially starting off. People thought I was on drugs, quitting a nice teaching job because I just wasn't happy doing it. Teaching French especially, I just didn't care for it. And then I knew that there was a lot of potential in real estate. I saw my father do it back in Toronto in the 80s. We had benefited immensely for private school, a lot of traveling. So it was a natural course of it. I was born to do this, definitely.
Awesome. So you were kind of on track to becoming a teacher. You worked in the field for a few months and you said, this isn't for me. This isn't what I want to do. And then you changed careers totally. And how did you start? Like, what was your first property? Do you remember?
Let's put it this way. People have a journey and there's doors along that journey. And there was one door that said security, another door that said freedom. And I ran to that door that said freedom. It was so important for me to have freedom. Sure. The last job I've ever had was when I was 21. So I've never really had a job per se. I've kind of jumped into some positions because I felt that was the need to go into that route. Yeah. But ultimately, I've always been a business owner, an entrepreneur, an investor from day one.
That's awesome. And so many people take the other route, take the security. I love the way you put that, security versus freedom. And because that's what we're taught to do, that's what we're told is the right thing to do and the safe thing to do. And if you go in the other direction, sometimes parents get frustrated with you or they're not happy. But you decided to do it, and I think it worked out pretty well for you.
Well, it has. So 2 years after quitting my teaching job, my father would still tell his friends that I was teaching. It wasn't one of those. Yeah, it's not. People want the idea of presenting yourself as a business owner. It's very vague. Most people, when they talk to each other, you meet someone new, there's like, often they'll say, "Where do you work?" That's the natural cause of things.
Yeah.
For some reason, I never went that route, and I'm very happy doing so.
So how did you go from being a contractor? Are you a full-time investor at this point in your life?
I'm a full-time investor.
Yeah.
We have several departments in our endeavor. We've got a property management company that we manage our own portfolio, but also the portfolio of the joint venture partners that we have. We felt the need that every time I did pass on the property management to others, it just wasn't done to the right liking. So we created systems and procedures. We hired it on board, and we've been doing so ever since.
Can you tell me a little bit about that? What does your property management structure look like? I'm assuming it's not too complex because you're basically looking after your own portfolio. You're not managing other people's assets.
It's not like 200 units. And in fact, I don't necessarily represent myself as a property manager, but as you grow portfolio and as you work with other JV partners, it's important to have a good team in place. And when I say a good team, I'm not talking about somebody like an accountant who's like 5 hours away from you. You want someone close by. And I felt having a good, clean, tight team is ideally what you're looking for. That involves renovations and property management. I mean, with real estate, it's a beautiful system, and there's a lot of wealth that can be created. But ultimately, these buildings need to be taken care of. And I feel at my stage, there's plenty of opportunities where I live in my own backyard, as long as I keep on searching for them. And I've got the team in place, those who renovate and those who can take care of the properties are already in place.
Yeah. So who do you have on your property management team? Do you just have like a full-time employee, or do you have a couple people?
So I have my renovation company is more developed than the property management company. So the renovation company, I have 3 guys that work full time that do renovations all year round. And then from that team, there's a electrician who I've known for 10 years. In fact, he was I encouraged him to go independent. And then over the course of 10 years, he now has 3-4 employees and does electricians for us. So typically when we need him there, he's there for us. That helps immensely. He knows what we're doing. He helps us out. Then there's the plumber, and the plumber is an independent plumber as well. And there's an HVAC guy. And then sometimes we use a roofer occasionally, but overall, a lot can be done with having 2 main guys who do painting, carpentry, framing, drywall, which if you've been in the business for 25 years doing renovations, you should be able to hang drywall and mud it. It's so necessary in renovations, and framing isn't too complicated. So these 2 guys, after a few duplex conversions or buildings renovations, they know their stuff. One of them has been with me for 10 years. So I believe I've shaped them along the way. They basically, you don't need an extensive team, but a team that works closely with you is definitely beneficial.
Okay, so you got your team, you've been working together for a few years, so you know exactly what to expect from everyone. What are you investing in today? Are you looking at duplexes, triplexes, apartment buildings, single family?
So I started off with student rentals because I was a student myself, and I had met people who were doing very well with student rentals, and the numbers worked back 10, 15 years ago. Then we got into duplex conversions. And now we're getting into multiplexes. It's just the natural course of growth as an investor. I mean, I know people who jump into multiplexes right away. I felt this was a natural growth for my journey.
Mm-hmm. So what type of projects are you looking at these days? You're
Right
looking
now,
at
we're
3
looking
units, 4 units?
It's multiplexes or duplex conversions or anything that we can flip.
Mm-hmm. Okay, cool.
In the Kingston area and about like Belleville, Brockville.
Mm-hmm.
And we're working with JV partners, debt investors, equity investors, combination.
Okay. Why Kingston? Have you always been in Kingston, or is it something that you recently started looking at?
I've been in Kingston for 30 years.
Okay.
I know I know it quite well. I know the buildings quite well. I know the streets quite well, and I understand that there's people who obviously, maybe certain areas it's not as favorable. I'm a firm believer that if one looks for opportunities, you will find them.
Mm-hmm.
It may not be easier, but they're out there, and there's still cash. Like Kingston, it's still cash flows.
Yeah, absolutely. Kingston's been a hot market, like kind of one of those trendy markets like Sudbury was a little bit last year. I think a lot of people started looking for stuff in Kingston, especially because the price point and then also the kind of cash flow that you get there. I was just, sorry, go ahead.
Sorry. Here's what I tell people, because a lot of people from Toronto or Durham area or Hamilton, areas that no longer cash flow, they're now looking for other places.
Yeah.
Right now, we saw a huge uplift in Kingston in a matter of 18 months. I mean, we went from $299 to now $399 is $399. Nothing sells at $399 now. I mean, but this happens all over Ontario, Southern Ontario. So what I tell people now is, did they miss the boat on that? Well, yes, no, but keep in mind, I've been going to Durham and checking out other areas of Ontario, and I'm a firm believer that we are 4 years behind Durham. So Durham no longer cash flows. The numbers are so high, it doesn't balance out. Kingston still cash flows. Mm-hmm. How long will it cash flow? Maybe 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
But there's going to be a point where it no longer cash flows and people are going to look elsewhere.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just going to, well, I mean, there's always ways to make things cash flow. Like, for example, I know some people that they started to add some short-term rentals to their units. Like maybe one of the units, they do a short-term rental and that helps them cash flow in that sense. So there's always creative ways to do it. But I see what you're saying. It gets to a point where the price is so high that it's just, you can't just fill the units and then expect it to cash flow. You have to get more creative.
Definitely. Creativity is very important. And a second point would be adding value. I see a lot of people who they want to invest in real estate and then they start talking to a few people and then they jump into a developer's site or developer's email. And then all of a sudden they jump into the developer's, what they're developing. What they're missing out is the adding value component, because I'm a firm believer of if you're adding value to anything, then the money flows to it. And if you're just buying something that's already built already, you're all your cards on the appreciation side of things. Yeah. And sure, there may be a lift, but overall you're missing out on having bought something at a low value, adding value through renovations or changing use of it from a single family to a duplex or from tenant turnover. Yeah. The added value is so essential.
For sure. And for some people, they are okay with just buying something that's brand new or whatever, and that works for them. That's their style. They don't want to spend too much time managing contractors or whatever, and they don't want to do a joint venture, and that's perfectly fine. So I guess it all depends on what your goals are, what you're trying to achieve. And I agree with you 100% that adding value can accelerate your growth substantially and allow you to refinance much sooner.
That's the key. A savvy investor will rotate the capital. Yeah. A novice investor doesn't think about that.
Yeah, that's true. So speaking of JV partners, what tips do you have, having done a few joint ventures yourself, what tips do you have for people that are looking to get into joint ventures and they have some expertise, they have some abilities to find BRRRR opportunities or whatever else, and they're looking for partners?
I'd say number one would be understand the developer or the realtor or the investor. understand them, if you get along with them, if you have similar values, that makes a huge difference. I found people who come to me, they want to they want to JV with me, and they jump in right away. They like, I want in. Seldom do they actually follow through with it. It's a slow process that takes a bit of time to get to know the person. But if you feel comfortable with them, you like their attitude and you like their values, and you get to know them on a personal level, and you see them in their, they show some of their weaknesses in a way, like what happens when everything goes wrong? How do you deal with that? That's important to know.
Yeah, absolutely. And now on the other side of things, for the people that don't want to be active, they want to be on the passive side, what are some of the benefits for them, in your opinion, to working with a joint venture partner?
They get to enjoy life, not have any stress. They can invest in real estate, in an asset as such as real estate, and not be painting and fixing toilets on the weekend.
Mm-hmm.
I baffles me at people who they think they need to invest in real estate, and then they're sacrificing their own lives to do so. There's no need to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. Because people on the active side, well, certain people, they commit a lot of their lives towards becoming experts at this exact type of thing. Just like a professional baseball player or any other person, a professional athlete, you're committing all of your time. You're doing the right things for your body. You're studying the game, doing all that stuff to become the best player you can be. And that's what real estate investors do. So for somebody who has no experience in investing in real estate, you can't expect to get the same results as an expert. And by working together, you guys can both share and benefit from the growth of this type of investment.
I couldn't agree more, George. You said it so eloquently. I work with JV partners, and we do a deal or two together, and then next thing you know, they want to do it on their own.
Yeah.
I respect that. I make it look easy. I've got 30 years of contracting behind me, 15 years as a realtor, 10 years as a property manager. You know, there's things that I don't even realize are ingrained in me. So I make it look easy. I tell a lot of investors, I make it look easy. It's not necessarily easy. It's a simple step, but when it comes difficult, it can be challenging.
Yeah, and stressful sometimes. And
it can be very stressful as well. It's not for everybody. Like the life of an entrepreneur, it doesn't end. I've chosen it early on, and I'm glad I chose it. It was for me as a person. It works for my personality and my lifestyle, and I enjoy it. I find it challenging, but it's not for everybody, because there's stressful situations, and there's no 9 to 5. It doesn't stop. I have a lot of flexibility in my stay, but sometimes there's things that bite to me on the weekends or at night. I'm going, I need to do this. I need to deal with that. But I find it, I'm honored when people do see the value in what I've been building over time, and are able to jump on board with a winning team, and then have success with real estate.
Yeah. And a big part of the success in investing is finding a great deal. So how do you find great deals?
It's a good question. So I work with wholesalers, I work with realtors, and sometimes we have campaigns for off-market deals.
Okay.
It's an ongoing thing.
Have you purchased from a wholesaler before? Because I get a lot of emails from wholesalers, and I have yet to buy anything from them. Not to say that the deals aren't good, but I'm just wondering, have you bought? Yeah, you have. Can you tell us a little bit about your experiences working with wholesalers?
They know their game. They're on top of it. It's, as a realtor myself, we are regulated. As you know, George, you're a realtor. There's regulations. Wholesalers, there's no regulations. They do what they want to do. Sometimes it works out. I wouldn't want to be a wholesaler, let's put it that way.
Yeah.
It's a tough game, and they're also dealing with homeowners who, at times I've seen some off-market deals, and I'm by nature, I'm a sensitive individual. When I see somebody in poverty, It's not pleasant.
Mm-hmm.
They own a home, but they're living in poverty for 2-3 years, and for numerous reasons,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
not doing well. It's not a good situation to be in, and trying to
Sure.
help them out. I'm not a wholesaler in that regards.
Yeah, there are obviously wholesalers that maybe don't have the best intentions in mind, but there are some that actually look to help others, and there's always ways to do that. So
Yes,
yeah,
I think they do help,
yeah,
but it has to be at their price. And from what I've seen, we've picked up some good deals, and I'm just saying,
yeah.
I feel
You
they
feel
really
guilty
robbed.
sometimes.
They
Yeah, yeah,
robbed. They
yeah,
robbed
yeah,
the owner. Like, I'm saying, wow. Like, how do you sleep at night? They robbed them
yeah.
completely. We got a good deal
Sometimes,
out of it.
yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
sometimes.
Okay. So what's your competitive advantage as a real estate investor?
Good question. We're a full package. We got as a realtor, property manager, and renovations. My renovation is probably the most extensive part of it. Having employees on staff keep the prices low,
Mm-hmm.
and we can spew out more deals quicker, more elegantly. I'm told some investors, they take 6 to 9 months, and for certain deals it may take 6 to 9 months. But ultimately, if it's well planned out with the right team in place, ready to go, you can do so much in a month or two. Like,
Mm-hmm.
even prior to purchasing, we're planning it out. We got the plans with the city. And the moment, even before getting a permit, the place closes. The next day, we got the dumpster in the front on a Friday, where we dump it out. We gut what needs to be gutted. And on that Monday, or even that Friday afternoon, it's gone. And then we're ready to start framing on that Monday. So
Yeah.
you can get a lot done if it's well planned.
Oh yeah. So it sounds so what I hear you say is that the fact that you have employees on staff for your renovations keeps your costs low, and you have
Yep.
systems in place that help you get the renovations done quickly, so that as soon as you close on the property, everything's ready to go. You start demo, you start framing, and you have a whole procedure in place.
Systems and procedures is the
Yeah.
key to any business. Without
Mm-hmm.
system procedures, you're reinventing the wheel, and you're telling people what to do. They know what to do from the start,
Mm-hmm.
and planning it out is critical, and
Sure.
everyone needs to be on board. So that's one thing I've implemented over the course of 2-3 years,
Mm-hmm.
is creating more of the systems and procedures on papers, and then they know how to go about it.
Yeah.
There's one more thing that about investing is, a lot of people talk about investing in real estate, which is great. But as a business owner for close to 30 years, I've had to invest in people. And by investing in people, only then does the business grow even further.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Yeah. Obviously, after a long time of investing, you have to make some adjustments. You get burned once or twice, and then you figure out what you need to do, and things work out. So that's great. Before we move on to the next section, I
Sure.
wanted to ask you about the Landlord Credit Bureau. Have you been using that lately for any of your rentals?
No, I haven't.
Okay.
So choosing and working with tenants is an art and a science. I've been given this over the course. I grew up with tenants. Let me tell you a story, George. I ran away from the household when I was 4. I had my bag, my a bit of clothes, water, and a book. Guess who I left with? It was a tenant.
Wow.
My
That's
parents
great.
were, my mother wasn't concerned. Tenant was just going to go do his laundry and be back. But
Mm-hmm.
at 4, this is what I was told. I left with a tenant. I grew up with tenants. My background extensive with tenants. So um, choosing the right tenants. Now, I go from a personal level of it. We still verify credentials. I may not be the one doing so, but when it comes down to choosing a tenant, I do get a phone call. I do talk to the tenant just to make sure everything's fine, because we've all been there where we've had bad tenants. It's
Mm-hmm.
part of the game, and it just makes everything hellish.
Yeah.
So having that one phone call, they've already been vetted by my staff. I can just figure out by their attitude and their communication style.
Yeah.
with those two elements, I can get a sense if they're going to be able to work well with us. Because as you know, George, tenants are lovely, they work well, but they only contact us when there's problems. So how do they deal with those problems? Are they yelling? Are they furious? If we don't get back to them, how are they dealing with it?
Yeah.
So that makes a huge importance.
Yeah.
Verification is done as a last resort.
Okay, awesome. And that's obviously worked for you. So
that is my forte. My forte is choosing people and working with people, hiring people. And when I hire people, I've been hiring people for 30 years. Hiring people and choosing tenants is very similar.
Yeah.
And I don't suggest anyone jump in and do their own property management. But if you do so, have procedures, and you also have to tell the tenant how this works, how this operates. Because once they get in, if they don't know how it's going on, they're just going to do whatever they want.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So I think we covered a lot here, and I wanted to jump into the random 5. So I'm going to ask you 5 questions. You tell me the first thing that comes to mind. Number 1.
Love it.
What's something you like to do the old-fashioned way?
Cooking.
Cooking the old-fashioned way.
Cooking the old-fashioned way. Just as much as I like restaurants, home cooked meal, love it.
Yeah, awesome.
You eat better company.
Yeah,
it's cheaper and it's easier on the belly. You know.
Yeah. For sure. Okay, cool. Number 2, what's something that you completely don't understand?
Those who cling on to security, hold on to things. It's not that I don't understand it. I've been there, but sometimes it's important to let things go.
Yeah.
If a property doesn't work out, it doesn't work in your portfolio, or it's losing money, just let it go.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So it's not a question of not understanding it. It's a question of you got to let go of a few things.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, number 3, what's your current philosophy about money?
It's a tool. Money is a tool. It's always been a tool. It's created a thin air, and those wealthy individuals use it as a tool.
Cool. It's awesome. Number 4, what do you wish you had spent more time doing when you were younger?
I have no regrets. I needed to go, George. I needed to go through all the difficulties in the past that I need to do. For some reason, I struggled a lot in the contracting side of things. I did way too much, and when I focused on one thing, it worked out even better.
Yeah.
Maybe read a bit more and had more of a focus for long term. But when you tell that to a 21-year-old, they don't care.
Yeah.
I wasn't thinking about when I was 50. I remember my mother when I was 22, 23. My mother turned 50, and I was like, "Wow, that's so old." It goes so fast. It's my next step, you know, like it's, so it's hard to say those questions, like looking back. I talked to myself when I was 21, 22, say, listen, make a goal. What do you want to get out of it? But ultimately I just wanted to have fun, like most 21-year-olds.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. And number 5, what thing from childhood do you still enjoy to this day?
Oh, I like that one. So when I went to my grandparents' place, we had a cabane in the forest, and we would build. And to this day, I still like building. I still like taking something, fixing it up or demolishing it. Not that I'm involved with the day-to-day activities of it, but popping by, seeing how it's coming along, and going from before and after pictures. And also I have a lot of say on how it looks afterwards. That I've always enjoyed doing.
Cool.
I'm a hands-on kind of guy.
Yeah. That's great. I feel the same way. I like doing that too. So to finish things off, how do people contact you, and what services do you provide?
So I provide, as a realtor, I find properties for people. I also provide coaching for those who feel the need to develop their business and grow with their portfolio. I'm more than happy. As a background in teaching, I enjoy the coaching aspect of things. And I do also enjoy working with passive investors who want to invest in real estate in Kingston and want the full deal.
Do you also, like as a realtor, do you sell in Kingston, or are you covering another area?
It's mostly Kingston. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah. So real estate coaching and passive income opportunities.
That's right.
Great. And how do people reach you?
Just Rene Masse on Facebook. Just Google my name. Everything comes up.
Okay. So you say Masse. You don't say Masse.
True. So I say Masse. Yes. I do.
Okay. Yeah. Just making sure, because sometimes the accent aigu doesn't appear on. You know what I mean?
do, George. I do appreciate it. You said my name in French, which is pretty rare. Yeah, I do respond quite well to Rene.
Yeah,
but I say Masse. My brother does say Masse, but Rene Masse. Anyways.
All right. Okay. Sounds good. All right, Rene. Thanks a lot for doing this. I wish you all the best, and looking forward to seeing you at a real estate event soon.
Sounds good. Thank you.
As always, thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed the content. And if you did, I ask you to share this with a friend, with a family member, somebody who might benefit. And it's always appreciated if you can leave us a review, especially if you're listening to it on the Apple Podcasts app, or if you're on YouTube, give us a like, subscribe, comment, and your support is always appreciated. Thank you very much.